Tell me what you think I mean when I say, if you don't come clean and be completely honest, that you're never going to heal from this and that your father's never going to heal from it.
People say my dad just wants to brush things under the rug, so to speak, and say that, you know, his daughter didn't know nothing about this. And that's, I mean, I think we've established I did know. But, you know, he says, you know, my daughter did not mastermind this. And, I mean, I didn't. And, I mean, I know that all this looks bad and everything, but I didn't know what they went in and did that night.
All right, I'll go first on this one. The main thing that was established here for me, and for me personally is really important, is that Dr. Phil chews gum while he's on TV and he knows he's on video. Doesn't bug him a bit. With you, Dr. Phil. I don't think she understood the question. Again, this is one of those intellectual miniatures we're dealing with here. Had no earthly idea what that meant, not whatsoever. So she goes back to her baseline of just talking and trying to talk her way through it. And she's talking quiet, and she tries to get through it. It gets worse and worse. I think it goes a little sideways on her because she starts talking about things that have nothing to do with what he asked her. So I think it's a great example of showing how she fakes her way through answers. So, Greg, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree. I saw that. That's a learned behavior to do something other people do when they're having a stressful answer to a question, because she's not stressed. Her breathing is not up. Her blink rate's not up. None of that stuff we expect in fight or flight. So I would look. She swallows once. Maybe she's thinking. And then she does the one thing that makes me think there's a lot of facade here. The reason she says, I think we've established that I did know. And she says it, all of her body language, everything is fluid, unlike anything else in the video. My guess is that's the person that her friends know. That's the person that people knew that she was not trying to kill. It's normal intonation. It's kind of congruent body language. It's just a normal kind of go back and watch it. It is a normal kind of sentence in the middle of all this other stuff we're looking at. I didn't mean, she closed her eyes. Again, Scott, I agree with you. I don't think this is a brilliant woman. I don't think she has any clue what he's talking about. I think he knows that. He's sitting across the table, and he's trying to get through to her and say, do you understand that? And then she goes to something about her dad, and her dad's sweeping it under the rug, and it's Tuesday, and I like hamburgers, and it's not chaff and redirect, it's conversation. So I don't think we're dealing with somebody who really has their act together, but I also think that line shows us that there's something else to her that we can't see in this interview. That's what I got. Chase, what do you got?
Yeah, totally agree with you guys. I think Phil does exactly the right thing here, according to me anyway, by redirecting his approach to a directive, commanding approach. So he's no longer asking questions. He's saying, tell me this. So there was no question. There was a command. That was kind of an order there for her. And within his little, let's call it a question to her, there was a technique I won't talk about. Takes too long to explain, but if you spotted it, put it in the comments. And it's not an interrogation technique. It's a persuasion technique that was used there. Phil matches her behavior perfectly as he's wrapping up this initial question of his. Her arms are under the table. His hands are animated while he's speaking. And right as he's for her to start answering, his hands go under the table. He assumes the same exact body posture as her. It is masterful. Pretty good approach there. And when we're talking about her forcing these words out, Greg, what was that word you came up with?
Yeah, no, I said we should use Gollum from Lord of the Rings with the coughing out words.
Yeah. So when she's golluming, she does it with the word mastermind. She forces that word out, mastermind. And we see she's more comfortable with the denial when she's quoting someone else. So where would we see this? She develops this psychological process throughout her life. She uses power by proxy, and now she's using denial by proxy. So if someone else is saying it, it becomes more powerful. I'm letting someone else take that away. So she's using proxy in multiple different ways here, in her language and in her behavior. Dr. Phil closes out the clip with a brilliant full open arm display. So right as the clip is ending, you can see him do this to kind of get her probably to keep talking there, even though we cut that out. I'll wrap up with a hallmark psychopathic trait, and this is impulsivity. When you hear somebody just say, "It just happened," which we did. So impulsivity is one of the hallmarks in the diagnostic manual. Mark?
Yeah, I didn't know. There's a bitter taste in her mouth. So I think she's slightly disgusted with herself that, she says, I did know. And there's, I think we've said, she says something like, I think we've worked out.
Established that I did know. Yep.
Yeah. So I think there's slight disgust at she has now gone down the road of like admitting that she has been caught in this. Still plenty of innocent child role there with I didn't. We hear her first metaphor, which is sweeping under the rug. But again, that metaphor is to do with someone else. So it's not a metaphor about her feelings. It's a metaphor about somebody else's feelings. And to Scott's point there of, maybe she's didn't understand the question so well. Well, that's probably because Dr. Phil did perceptual positioning there. He said, what do you think I mean when I say X? Well, that means that you've got to kind of take their position and go, okay, imagine I'm Dr. Phil. What do I think he would be thinking right now? That perceptual positioning is part of what we call cognitive empathy, being able to go, well, there's me and I'm different from Dr. Phil, and Dr. Phil might think differently, and so I'm going to become them and take their position. She can't do that. She can't. There's just her. There's just her, and there isn't other people's feelings. He didn't even ask for a feeling. He was just like, what do you think I'm thinking when I say this? Not even asking, what do you think I feel? And the step up from that in empathy would be, what do you think I think about my feelings? Well, that's kind of what a therapist does when they sit with you, is to go, I think you might be feeling, about yourself like this. That is a huge level of abstraction. And this particular personality type, though I don't know, what it shows up in the DSM and what they might kind of rank it as in there. They often have quite a difficulty with abstract thoughts. It's very much process driven. Here's what's happening to me right now, rather than, here's what people are thinking or feeling about something in the past or the future, and I've created a metaphor or a simile to describe that. You don't get that a great deal, which is why that kind of psychopathic kind of monologuing that you get in lots of films, which is really quite erudite and goes on forever, isn't particularly realistic for your general common or garden psychopaths. They don't actually tend to do that. Actually, we've got one in our ranking of videos who does come up with some quite erudite stuff, but he's stolen it from other people. I think it's Ramirez, isn't it? Mm-hmm. He's just taken other people's poetry, put it together and gone, look, I'm a poet. I'm fantastic. Look at me. No, they rarely come up with their own similes and metaphors, and abstract thinking and perceptual positioning is really hard to do. That's what I got on that one for you.
Tell me what you think I mean when I say, if you don't come clean and be completely honest, that you're never going to heal from this and that your father's never going to heal from it.
People say my dad just wants to brush things under the rug, so to speak, and say that, his daughter didn't know nothing about this. And that's, I think we've established I did know. But he says, my daughter did not mastermind this. And, I didn't. And, I know that all this looks bad and everything, but I didn't know what they went in and did that night.
If you like this video, get the full body language breakdown and analysis on our main channel by clicking this video right here.